All right, diving right in, as usual. We love doing these deep dives with you, taking some material you've sent our way and really, squeezing the juice out of it.
Absolutely. Got to find those golden nuggets.
This one's especially interesting, I think. Listeners sent in some early chapters from a book by Seth. And right away, it's all about like understanding our beliefs, why that even
Right
matters.
off the bat, yeah. And I think it's a really good pick, honestly, because so often we forget that our beliefs actually shape the reality we experience. It's subtle, but so
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah, yeah. Like it's not just airy fairy stuff, right?
No, not at all. And these chapters really hit on that hard.
So right away, the book kind of points out something we all probably do. We get so focused on what's happening around us, the physical stuff.
All the everyday chaos.
Exactly. That we forget, like, our role in it all, the thoughts we're having, the expectations we carry around, even our desires, they're all playing into shaping what happens.
It's like we're so focused on the movie that's playing that we forget we're the ones in the projection booth.
Haha. It's a good one. Yeah. So, in terms of like actually having some control over our lives, where do we start with this belief thing?
Well, I think the first step is starting to recognize that what we perceive as this solid external reality, it's actually constantly interacting with our inner world. Like Seth says, even things that seem purely material, they're really interwoven with our internal state. We're not just passive bystanders, we're active participants, whether we realize it or not.
Okay, I'm starting to see the implications here, and it gets even more interesting because the book goes on to talk about how these, deep-seated negative parts of ourselves, they can act as these invisible barriers, right? Keeping us from really experiencing life fully.
Like wearing those tinted glasses that color everything a certain shade. And we just assume that's how the world is. We don't even question it.
Yeah, we look right through those barriers, never realizing they're even there. What kind of impact, like practically speaking, can these hidden things have on a person's life?
Well, think of it this way. It's not just a matter of, having a bad day or feeling grumpy. Seth is suggesting that these unexamined negative thoughts, they can get so embedded that they start shaping our internal landscape on a fundamental level. It's pretty wild. He even talks about them being like faithfully decoded in our genes and chromosomes, becoming active in our blood. Like, wow.
So our thoughts could literally be having a physical, biological impact.
That's the suggestion, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've probably experienced this yourself. Like think about when you're really worried about something. Doesn't it sometimes feel like that worry almost manifests physically? Tension, headaches, all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Okay, so then the book brings up this idea of the ego, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of, but it describes it as arising from our inner psyche. And it uses this really interesting analogy, like the eye developing from the physical structure of the body. I'm curious, what's the point of that comparison?
It's a really clever parallel, just like our eyes are, pointed outwards, perceiving the physical world but can't directly see themselves.
Yeah.
Seth says the ego works similarly in the mental world. It comes from this deeper inner psyche and focuses outward on the world around us. Both are vital tools, right? The eye for navigating the physical and the ego for the psychological, but neither are inherently designed for self-reflection.
Okay, so what's the takeaway there?
For you, the listener, it's about starting to see your ego not as you, but as a tool that you use. Like your eyes help you see, your ego helps you interact. But neither one defines the totality of who you are.
Interesting. So there's more to us than just this ego that's always looking outward.
Absolutely. And that's where things get really exciting.
So the book goes on to explain that this inner psyche, the creative part of us, that's where the ego actually comes from. And it's always at work, shaping our experiences, both internal and external.
Exactly. Like your body has this innate wisdom that guides its development. And the psyche has this creative force that gives rise to the ego. And recognizing that distinction is key. It stops us from over-identifying with the ego's limited perspective and opens us up to like the vastness of our inner being.
Okay, so how do we actually tap into that?
Well, Seth actually gives a really practical suggestion, and it's for you, the listener, to do. Become aware of your beliefs about yourself by writing them down.
Seems simple enough. But the book hints that this list will come in handy later. Kind of makes you wonder what's coming, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely piques your curiosity.
Yeah.
But even just that first step, getting those beliefs down on paper, that's incredibly valuable in itself.
Yeah, I can see that. It's probably easier to ignore those things when they're just kind of floating around in your head.
Exactly. Writing them down brings them into the light of consciousness. They become something tangible that you can examine. It's the first step in understanding the hidden architecture of your own inner world.
So once we've got this list, the book makes this really empowering point. It says that the ability to change our ideas about ourselves and reality, it's already within us. We don't need to search for it somewhere outside.
That's a crucial thing to remember. You're not stuck with your current beliefs. The power to change them is inherent in who you are.
That's encouraging. But then the book throws in a bit of a roadblock, right? It talks about what happens when our thoughts and feelings get disconnected. When they're not in sync, our creativity and intellect don't work as well.
It's like trying to row a boat with only one oar. You're not going to get very far.
Haha, good analogy. So what's the impact of that, that disconnect between thought and feeling?
Well, Seth says it can lead to our conscious mind losing touch with that deeper inner knowledge. It creates these, what he calls, illusory divisions within ourselves. Like different parts of us are working against each other instead of together.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do these beliefs even form in the first place? Like, where do they come from?
The book explains that our conscious mind is like a constantly running filter for all the information we're taking in, both internally and externally. And it's in this processing that our beliefs take shape. And here's the tricky part. Limiting ideas can slip in without us really questioning them. Sometimes they even disguise themselves as positive traits.
Oh, that's sneaky. Like how?
Well, think about someone who's always expecting the worst. They might see themselves as a realist or super prepared, but underneath that, there's often a limiting belief about the world being inherently negative. And that belief colors their expectations and can even influence outcomes in a negative way.
Wow, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy disguised as pragmatism. And the book gives some really relatable examples, like the idea that money is the root of all evil.
Right. Someone who believes that might feel virtuous for not pursuing wealth, but that belief might actually be blocking them from financial abundance.
Yeah, it becomes a self-imposed limitation.
And Seth also talks about how clinging to the sadness of an illness or envying healthy people can actually make it harder to get well.
Yeah.
It's like the emotional investment, even if it's unconscious, strengthens the very condition you want to get away from.
So it's not even just about negativity, like directed outwards. The book talks about how distrusting our own unconscious can be a big problem too.
Oh, absolutely. If we see it as this like scary place full of dark secrets, we miss out on its potential for creativity and inspiration.
So we're actually blocking ourselves from something positive by doing that.
It's a huge missed opportunity. The unconscious isn't just this repository for, repressed stuff. It's also a wellspring of creative ideas, intuition, all sorts of untapped potential. By distrusting it, we're essentially cutting ourselves off from valuable inner resources.
And this next point in the book, this one really hit home for me. It says that when we try to examine our own minds, we often do it through the lens of our existing beliefs.
Like trying to judge how clean a window is by looking through the dirt on it?
Haha, yeah, exactly. Our beliefs become the filter, shaping how we see our own thoughts and feelings.
And that's why it's so crucial to recognize that those beliefs aren't necessarily objective truths. Becoming aware of the filter itself allows for a much clearer, more unbiased view of what's actually going on inside.
Okay, so the key isn't to try and suppress or fight our thoughts and feelings, but to become aware of them, right?
Without judgment, exactly. Because those thoughts and feelings are actively shaping our reality, whether we're aware of them or not.
So the next step is to intentionally focus on the ones that align with what we want to experience, what we want to create.
Precisely. Awareness without immediate reaction is the key to conscious creation. It's about observing your internal patterns and choosing to cultivate the ones that serve you best.
And this leads into this fascinating idea that our ideas themselves have a kind of energetic presence, like an electromagnetic reality. And beliefs are essentially very strong ideas about how reality works.
Right. And the book goes on to say that these ideas, they generate emotions. And it attracts, so we tend to gravitate towards and accept ideas that resonate with our existing beliefs.
So it's this kind of self-reinforcing loop.
Exactly. Think of it like tuning a radio. Your existing beliefs are the frequency you're set to. And you'll naturally pick up signals, or in this case, ideas and experiences that vibrate at a similar frequency, which just strengthens those initial beliefs. That's why people with similar views tend to find each other and why changing deeply ingrained beliefs can be so challenging. It's like trying to tune into a station you've never heard before.
And here's a point that's, I think, really easy to miss. The book says we often confuse our beliefs about reality for the actual nature of reality itself, which makes those beliefs almost invisible, even though they're the driving force behind our experiences.
It's like a fish being completely unaware of the water it's swimming in. Your most fundamental beliefs become so deeply ingrained that they just feel like the way things are, not like chosen perspectives.
Yeah.
And that invisibility is what makes them so powerful.
So we need to make them visible, bring them to the surface so we can actually look at them.
Exactly.
So then the book gives us this really interesting technique. It says that by consciously shifting our focus to a different area of thought, we can break out of those habitual patterns and see things with fresh eyes.
It's like cleaning a dirty window. Suddenly you can see details you were missing before.
Haha. Yeah, I like that. And it all comes back to recognizing the difference between a belief that isn't serving us, which is just an idea about reality, and reality itself.
That separation is so important. It gives you the power to question the validity of a belief and to choose something more empowering.
Now, the book also talks about emotions and imagination and how powerful they are. It says they can either amplify or weaken our ideas and beliefs.
They're not just passive responses. They're active forces that shape our reality.
So how do we, work with them?
Think of your emotions as fuel and your imagination as the blueprint. When you can align your emotions with what you want to create and vividly imagine it, it creates a powerful, energetic force that can bring your beliefs into reality.
Okay, so then there's this exercise that the book suggests. It says about using our imagination in a playful way, almost like children, to pretend that what we want is already true, even if it seems impossible.
Yeah, it's like a mental test drive of a new reality. The book uses the example of someone feeling poor, pretending to have everything they need. And by doing that, they start to shift their emotional state and create a new energetic resonance.
So we're essentially tricking our brains into believing something different is possible.
In a way, yeah.
The book then gets into the impact of belief on our health. It says that believing yourself to be healthy can actually contribute to good health. And conversely, losing faith in your well-being and accepting illness can make things worse.
Right. It highlights the profound connection between our minds and bodies. Your beliefs about your health are not just abstract thoughts. They can influence your physiology. Seth even suggests that negative beliefs can generate negative emotions, which can then manifest as physical or emotional illness.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy on a physical level.
And then, to make matters worse, our imagination kicks in and starts creating vivid mental images of the illness, further solidifying the belief.
So we're not just passively experiencing these things, we're actively participating in their creation through our beliefs.
Exactly.
And the book goes on to say that we have unlimited resources available to us for achieving our goals. But we often get stuck relying too heavily on our conscious minds while ignoring its connection to our deeper selves.
It's like trying to solve a complex problem with only one tool when you have a whole workshop at your disposal.
We need to tap into that inner wisdom, that intuition.
Exactly. And the book makes this really important distinction between ourselves and our beliefs. It emphasizes that we are not our beliefs. Our beliefs are just ideas we've adopted.
Why is that distinction so important?
Because if you completely identify with your beliefs, any challenge to those beliefs feels like a personal attack. It creates huge resistance to change. But when you realize you are separate from your beliefs, you have the freedom to examine them, question them, and ultimately choose the ones you want to keep and the ones you want to let go of.
It takes the personal sting out of it.
Right.
And the book offers some really good advice about how to actually make those changes. It says that trying to force ourselves to change is usually counterproductive.
Willpower alone can only get you so far.
Instead, it emphasizes the power of imagination and emotion, guided by conscious intention.
Your imagination and emotions are powerful allies. When you direct them towards your desired outcome, they can reshape your beliefs in a much more organic and sustainable way than brute force ever could.
It's about working with ourselves, not against ourselves.
Exactly.
And the book addresses this common struggle between willpower and imagination. It says that when they clash, imagination usually wins.
Think about trying to suppress a vivid daydream. It usually doesn't work. Your imagination is tapping into deeper parts of you, your desires, fears, core beliefs. It operates on a more emotional level than willpower alone.
So if our willpower is trying to push for something that our imagination doesn't believe is possible or desirable, the imagination will probably win out.
Most likely, yeah. That's why it's so important to align your intentions with your inner vision.
The book even suggests that what seems like successful spiritual healing might just be temporary if the underlying beliefs that cause the problem aren't addressed.
It's like painting over rust. It might look better for a while, but the problem's still there underneath.
So true healing involves understanding the root of the problem, not just treating the symptoms.
Right. It's about healing from the inside out.
And the book touches on this idea that our bodies have a unique sound value, and that the sounds of our negative thoughts can create imbalance.
It's like our bodies have a natural resonance, a harmonious vibration, and our thoughts and beliefs create internal sounds that can either harmonize with that resonance or disrupt it. Negative beliefs create disharmonious sounds that can lead to problems.
So it's important to pay attention to our inner dialogue, that self-talk that's constantly running.
Absolutely. And the book says that even verbal suggestions, the things we say out loud, translate into this inner sound. And they affect our bodies, just like light can affect us. It's like our words are constantly sending vibrational messages to ourselves.
So positive affirmations and positive self-talk can actually have a healing effect.
That's the idea, yeah. And conversely, negative self-criticism can be really damaging. Our words have power, both internally and externally.
Shifting gears a bit, the book also talks about how our bodies are constantly renewing themselves on a cellular level. Atoms and molecules are being replaced all the time.
We're literally being remade every moment.
And the book emphasizes that our bodies respond to both external and internal stimuli based on inherent patterns.
And our beliefs play a key role in those patterns.
So our beliefs are essentially guiding the way our bodies rebuild themselves.
It's like our beliefs are the blueprint that our cells are following.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the book says we have these inner senses that are attuned to these internal patterns, and that physical data is transmitted through our nervous system within the limits of how we perceive time. It's like we have this whole internal network of information that's operating beneath our conscious awareness.
It's a lot to take in, but it highlights just how complex and interconnected we are.
And here's another powerful point. The book says that our emotions don't just drive our actions, they actually send thoughts from our inner world out into the physical world, constantly bridging the gap between the non-physical and the physical.
Our emotions are like this powerful conduit, translating our inner states into external manifestations.
So it's this constant flow of energy and information between our inner and outer worlds.
Exactly.
So the book explains that in our physical existence, our bodies are tools for learning and expression. And we often focus on specific qualities and experiences, sometimes neglecting others. So we might not always present a perfectly balanced picture of ourselves.
And that's okay. It's part of the journey of being human, exploring different facets of ourselves.
Right. And then, reinforcing a key idea, the book reiterates that sharp minds and keen senses are more adept at perceiving their environments, which then leads to those conditions being physically experienced. And our beliefs support the health of those very senses.
It's another feedback loop. Our beliefs shape how we perceive, and what we perceive reinforces our beliefs.
And it all comes back to the central point. Our thoughts and ideas are not just intangible things. They're electromagnetic realities that directly affect our physical well-being, being constantly translated into physical form according to our beliefs.
That's the foundation of this whole perspective. Our thoughts and beliefs have real power.
And finally, the book concludes by reminding us that recognizing the power of our beliefs is the first step to consciously creating the experiences we want in life. It's about moving from being passively affected by life to becoming an active co-creator.
It's about taking responsibility for our reality and realizing that we have the power to shape it.
So, to wrap up this deep dive, we've explored Seth's really compelling message about how our beliefs shape our reality. It's a message that often operates beneath the surface of our awareness, but it's constantly influencing our experiences.
And we've seen how important it is to take that first step of actually writing down our personal beliefs. It's a way to bring those often unconscious drivers into the light of conscious understanding.
These early chapters definitely give us a lot to think about.
Yeah, they offer a really intriguing glimpse into the connection between our inner and outer worlds. And they leave us with this final thought for you, the listener. Think about one belief you hold strongly about yourself or the world. How might that belief be shaping your experiences in ways you haven't fully recognized? What would happen if you gently questioned its validity and explored a different perspective?
That's a journey worth taking. And that's a wrap for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.